should I care about voice search?
Hmm.
So this is a question, I think it's a great question to ask your digital advertising vendor, your marketing vendor today to start the conversation around what's next in the industry. Voice search is obviously top of mind for a lot of people. We have a lot of devices that we're using with voice search. How this became top of mind for me, I just wrote a blog about it recently, and obviously it's permeating our lives now. I can't walk into a home that doesn't have Alexa or Google. There's Siri, there's now Bixby for your Android devices, there's Cortana. There's countless ways to access voice search. And there's, countless different devices that are being added to this. So
I haven't fallen to that yet.
Yeah, so I've talked to some people that get really like, I don't want one of those in my home.
No, I don't.
And there's kind of that's always listening to me, and I said, well, man, I hope I say something good. Hopefully they get something good on me. But see, you have those people too. But these devices are becoming more and more permeating our society, where odds are you're going to start seeing them in stores. You're going to start seeing them in retail experiences where you can ask questions of, that perhaps people would be answering previously. So where this really came to a head for me was just recently my nephew was getting ready for his birthday, his 6th birthday, and his mom and he were talking about what he wanted for his birthday. And he said, geez, I think I want a Nintendo Switch, as all kids do at this time. And she said, well, you might get that. He instantly turned from her and said, let's ask Alexa, or Wexa as he calls her, because he asks Alexa to set timers to wake up for school. He asks her to read him bedtime stories. He asks her a lot of different questions. So he says, Alexa, I want to buy a Nintendo Switch. And she quickly came back with, I found one. And I've never seen him move so fast in his life. He ran over, covered his mother's mouth when they asked, do you want to purchase it? And he said, yes, in the deepest, darkest voice I think I've ever heard. So it was interesting to me. That's just a fun story to say, like, these are things that people are adopting in their homes, and it is changing the way we search. It's not changing how the search happens, right? So moving forward, I don't think any voice search conversation would be complete without the obligatory 2016 ComScore study that says by 2020, 50% of all searches will be voice searches. Now, there's a couple of things for color here. This was done in 2016 when the voice search adoption was around 20%. Siri in 2011 really led the charge with a lot of this, and it's picked up speed in the past year and a half, 2 years. Some people believe that it will be larger than 50%. But an important point of color for me is that they're not saying that 50% of the amount of searches that are done today will be voice. What they're saying is there's more opportunity to search with voice. So this is your on-the-go searches, your devices. So it's not just that they're 50% is going to be dominated and you're not going to have as many desktop or mobile searches. They don't really know that. They're saying the opportunity to search is increasing exponentially. We can search in our car, on the go, probably soon in retail stores, in our homes, in our friends' homes, to our watch, to our thermostat. So the opportunity is certainly there, and it's an emerging market. What's driven
Glad you broke that down, because that stat was a little leading.
Yeah, so I've looked at this one a lot, because almost everything you do to search around, like what's the state of the industry around Google search or around voice search, it tells you that this ComScore is going to come up. This 2016 study is like what everybody leads with. So I wanted to get that one out of the way. But another thing that's driving this is the accuracy on these devices is north of 95% now, as far as them understanding what you're saying. So
I don't know what phone you're using.
And Jeff probably disguises his voice because he doesn't want them to have it.
No. Just I swear
it's his lisp.
Accurate for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly, my nephew's saying, Wexa, will you buy me a Nintendo Switch? She somehow managed to figure that one out. So it is very commerce based at this point. So what does that mean for your digital marketing vendor? There's 2 reasons I bring this up. One is start that type of conversation with them today about what's next. This is going to give you a good indication of whether they're thinking about it, whether they're acting on it, or whether they're really not considering it. The answers could be different. I'm not, telling you that the vendor should answer you a certain way, but they should certainly answer you and have a point of view on it. So what does it mean? Some of the things that I would answer, just to give some color around if you have this conversation, what are some things you can do today and look at with voice search? Voice searchers are looking for quick answers, right? I would ask my provider if I can get a copy of my search term report out of Google Ads. Not that that's comprehensive, but that's a good place to start. This is going to give you an idea on how people are searching for and finding your dealership today. What are the exact searches that they're using? It doesn't call out what voice searches are versus what text-based searches are. You could look into things like mobile versus desktop. What it does is it gives you an opportunity to see how people are looking for you and what kind of words they're using to get to your website. The types of things that voice searchers are looking for today, they're looking for local business information. They're looking for hours of operation. They're looking for to really conduct to get answers to what they've to their questions. So what happens is, instead of, if you look at search from the beginning, we started putting in questions in sentence format, right? Google, way back in the day, we were like, can I find a whatever? We learned that keyword stuffing was the way to go. So a lot of times when you're doing a search and you don't get what you wanted, you just add another keyword on the end of it. It's not really grammatically correct. But we speak differently, right? We ask questions. We indicate intent a little bit earlier in the process. So we get longer tail searches, things like, hey, where can I get an oil change for my Toyota Camry? And we're asking that voice search. Essentially, all that's doing is taking what I just said, putting it into the search box, hitting enter, and then getting results. So the long tail and contextual search is increasing with this voice technology. So it's important to look at that search term report, I think. And what their early returns are that there's higher conversion rates when you get into longer tail searches.
Now, is there a way for a dealer to see how many searches are bringing people to his or her business that are coming from voice yet?
I don't know of it a specific way that's accurate. Somebody could correct me on that. Obviously, digital advertising is changing every single day. There's not really, and I think if you go too far down the rabbit hole, it depends on who you are within the dealership, right? If you're working in digital every day, get on the phone with your vendor and start talking about this, because you're going to be at the forefront of this. If you're just trying to understand a little bit more about what's happening, if you're not looking at your search term report, so we're talking about a lot of different people within dealerships, right? There's some people who I'm not even sure what's going on, and there's other people who it's their daily job to stay involved. Looking at the search term report, I think, is the best way to kind of keep grounded, but see what's happening, because those searches are going to be in there. I was looking at a search term report the other day that had, and I have to be careful saying this because I didn't turn my devices off, but it had, okay, Google, okay, Google, okay, Google, Toyota Tundra tow hitch price near me. So this guy was obviously using his phone. It's like, why isn't this thing responding? I don't understand. Yeah, she's talking to me. All right, she's done. She didn't understand what I said, so it's good.
You probably just set off everyone else's phone now too.
It's very possible. Yeah, I hope so. But I think that's a good place to start. There's other, more than likely, there's other things you can start to look at, and I would let your digital advertising agency or vendor guide you through that. But if they don't have anything else to offer, then maybe they're not really looking into it today.
Yeah, that's a great question to ask. I never thought about that. I mean, obviously, voice search has been on the forefront, but it's not the typical question I would ask one of my vendors.
Yeah, it's very common. Even internally, when we started talking about this, people started asking the same questions that you guys are, like, how can I tell which one's voice and which one isn't? How do I set up a voice-specific ad? Well, that's not real life today, but it could be tomorrow, the way things move with this technology. Like, you have to be ready for the fact that eventually Google definitely will have an ad format that's voice specific. And so what you can do to get ready for that is start, A, look at the search term report, look at what's happening. B, look at how your customers, how your family, how you interact with voice today. Look at what I
guess go back after that long tail.
Yeah, and see what those searches are like, because they're going to be, we'll look at another slide here to move forward. So instead of, if I were typing this out, I typed this one out for an example, but if I was asking, hey, Google, I'm on the run, it's Saturday, I've been shopping cars, who has the best price for a 2019 Toyota Camry? What am I going to see today? You're probably going to see things like US News, Consumer Reports, things like that. But that's the kind of content you can start writing into your website, writing in or considering in your ad targeting, your Google Ads targeting today to start capturing those searches. Because if you're specifically targeting that and your competitor is still targeting make model, which is very vague and very not specific, they're going to gather the customers who may or may not be in market, and you're going to target the customers who are in market.
That's a great point.
So when you talk about search content, we touched on this a little bit, but here's just a few things that I would start talking to a dealership about today. Again, this is not something you should do like, we got to get this done by tomorrow, but if you start today, you're going to be ready when these things start changing. Writing towards user intent, I think we discussed that already. That user intent is a lot more clear when I tell you I'm looking for, where can I find an oil change near me? Instead of just going oil change price. Or instead of going Toyota Camry price, I'm putting, maybe I'm asking the question, right? Who has the best price on A? So start writing towards what that user intent is, because they're starting to identify that earlier than just your website. People outside of automotive, but inside of automotive, this is applicable as well, are going a little nutty on FAQ pages, the people who want to be ready for search. Why are they doing that? Because then they have content that answers the questions they think that their customers are going to be asking. And we don't type in questions, but we say them, we speak them, right? The other thing is writing in natural language. And this just speaks back to SEO basics, right? Don't copy paste and don't keyword stuff anymore. We've been saying that forever. You can't have the same content. Well, now you need to start writing as you would respond. So I would even recommend for SEO writers, this maybe doesn't touch the dealership level, get talk to text software and say what you're trying to write and see how it differs from what you actually write. And now you have a conversation started. Now you start to see, hey, that looks different when I say it than when I write it. And then writing specific articles for every situation that you want to be involved in. So if you want to be involved in service and they have questions, start answering the questions that you get from your customers on a regular basis in the form of content on your website. Start targeting those questions in your service ads. So when should I replace my brakes? Write a quick article on that. Get that in there. Now it lives.
FAQ.
Yes, sir. And then focusing on local. You do say that a majority of voice search today, while it is not exclusively local, there's a higher percentage of local searches happening on voice. What does that mean? That means that we're using that voice search when we're on the go a little bit more. We want kind of immediate answers. We want not just I'm planning something, but I'm about to do something. So writing for local keywords, some of this is continuing a strategy that you should have today anyway. Reviews are huge. Would you choose your dealership online? Getting your reviews in order today is going to be very important because it affects how you rank. It affects how you're searched for, and it's one of the top of mind pieces of local SEO for the consumer. They want to know, they want help making the decision. And then if they're asking questions like, who's the best dealer for service? You want to be not only writing for that, but you want to be ready for when they look at those results. Because as we look here on the side, and you can see it, the new version of these smart speakers, they're definitely going to have a display option.
Yeah.
So you're going to see things like you see on Google My Business or like you see on your search results. It's going to be condensed and it's going to be information that's presented to that person in a smaller form. So you want to make sure
people are currently searching that way with those type of keywords. I mean, especially around reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. So people are definitely searching today about that's kind of in the final phase of the process when I'm deciding, where should I buy this item, right? I've done all my research on which model I want. I've done research on the reviews on those models. I've done my research on pricing and things like that. The customer today wants to be as informed as they can be. If they're not educated, they want to be super informed before they walk into the dealership. One of the last things we do for restaurants and everything else is we're looking at those reviews. Dealership world should be ready for that as well. And we'll see that kind of woven throughout this presentation, the idea of what do you look like online?
Well, one thing of note too with the reviews is Google now defaults to 4-star and up as what they show on the first page. So you can go in and change your own profile and say, I want to see 2-star and up or something like that. But everyone's defaulted to 4 and up. So if you're a 3.8 or a 3.9, yep,
you're struggling. Yeah,
that's right.
And there's definitely, and the last point I wanted to make was just stay the course. Continue to do what you're doing today, but prep for voice search. It goes back to that stat that we talked about, 50% of voice searches being there. That is indicating an increase in opportunities to search. So you can't, throw out your old SEO strategies and strategizing for the customer who's still searching via text. So this isn't a replace my strategy. This is a prep for the changing environment and for the added opportunity that voice search brings.